Number two, I've just posted one recording to do with this property. So again, as you can see, this is where I grew up, walking distance to coffee shops. We owned a property in Sydney. All right, 10 minutes from Parramatta, you've got this property. Mum sold it. Dad gave it to her in a divorce. Mum sold it in April 1989. Like I said, long driveway. You can see the long driveway going up to the main house. There's the main house. The back of the house, you've got the dark area there that you can see. So you've got the main house, which has got the tile roof. You can see there. You've got that dark area off the back. That's a big entertainment area. Where that red dot is, okay, you can see that area there where it's a semi-pink colour. That is landscape garden area. We had sandstone landscape garden around the swimming pool. You can see a swimming pool. That grey roof there, that's the garage. So you've got long driveway. You can see where it sort of stops there, that long driveway. Then that little area that continues into the garage area, that stops there. That black little line, that's a gate. So you've got the long driveway going up to the main house. You go up to the main house, or you turn right into what's called a utility area. Because what is it for? That area, why would you enter that area to the right? Only if you're dropping off horses, horse gear, saddlery, horse feed. Yeah, so what's it used for? It's a utility area. It's where trucks go in. Okay, I'm sorry if it upsets people that I use vocabulary. I mean, what are you going to say? It's a side gate. Oh, it's a side gate. Yeah, what's a side gate for? Utility. Yeah, like I'm so sick and tired of people being twisting everything to be something that's not. That's exactly what the side gate's called, a utility area. You know, I made a mistake saying it was service area, but that's what I meant, utility. It's where you drive the trucks through. So you're not going to keep going up to the main entrance of the house. You're going to drive around to the utility area and you're going to unload, in those areas. Yeah. So that's the horse stable we had in Sydney. Now, I did grow up in the beach. Of course I did, like I kept saying. So let me explain again to people who don't want to listen the first time, the second time, or the second billionth time. My grandparents are from the inner city. Okay, let's talk really slowly for the dumb dog shit losers who don't get it. Okay, none of my family is from the country. They've moved to other areas, but they're not from there originally. Let's go over this again, stupid people. All right, Lola, my nan, grew up 43 Piper Street, Leichhardt. That house in 43 Piper Street, Leichhardt, was owned by her uncle, who we call Uncle Fred, but his real name's Leo Patrick Sayer. His sister, Mary Sayer, who married a Keegan, so it became Mary Keegan, so it's Mary and Arthur Keegan, who had Lola and Mari and Eddie and Brian. So Lola's my nana. So Mary rented her brother's house off him. Okay? Uncle Fred, Leo Patrick Sayer, lived in Bellevue Hill. Uncle Fred's auntie, May, who was the first one of the three sisters to have Uncle Fred, and then Julia Sayer adopted. So Julia Sayer is my nan's grandmother, Uncle Fred's mother, who adopted Uncle Fred from her sister, May. Okay? Now, May was in Bellevue Hill, so was Uncle Fred's other auntie, which is Annie Williams, or Annie Williams Shawkner. He's from Bellevue Hill. Okay. Uncle Fred's cousin, Tommy, from Bellevue Hill, and his nephew, Gary Williams, which is my nana Lola's cousin, Gary Williams. I haven't seen Gary Williams since Nan's sister-in-law, Margaret Keegan's funeral in Balmain, because that's where they're from, the inner city. She died in 2003, funerals October 2003, around that time. I did speak to Nan's cousin then at the funeral in 2003, Gary Williams. He told me he was still living in Bondi, Yep, like he explained it, because Nan loved his grandmother's house. He was left his grandmother's house. Nan loved it. It was this massive, huge house that was too big for him to manage on his own. And even Gary said it was just too large for him to manage on his own. It's a large house. So he sold it and stayed living in the area where their family's from, because that's where my Nan's mother's family is from, the eastern suburbs. Nan said that. Gary said that. I know this from growing up with family members. I grew up with my Nana Lola, my Nana's mother Mary, and my Nana's uncle, Uncle Fred Leo Patrick Sayer. Leo passed away. I was in my 20s before he passed away. I used to see him every Tuesday. Every single Tuesday I used to see him, okay, and visit him. So let's get this out of the way, because people are still pissing me off and not listening to the truth, or not accepting it, and then lying about me. That's causing me damage. Right. So that's some background of where Nan's from. Okay. And Leo was still living in Edgecliff Road in Bellevue Hill back, when my Nan was growing up. And then after the war ended, a lot after, he ended up moving. So after Nan had grown up and moved out of the house in Piper Street, that's when. So my great grandmother raised her family in the house that was owned by her brother. When her family moved out of home, her brother moved from the eastern suburbs into the inner western suburbs of Leichhardt, into the house he owned. He lived his life out in that house in 43 Piper Street, Leichhardt. So did my great-grandmother. My great-grandmother, Mary, moved back into the house in 1989. I spent my life going to the house in 43 Piper Street, Leichhardt. So I've always called it my Nan's house, even though it was owned by my uncle. It was always my Nan's house to me, that house. And my uncle left it to my Nan Lola, and my Nan Lola sold that in 1999, so I was 20. So I was going to that house in Piper Street, Leichhardt, right up until I was 20. So are you people stupid? Let's put that there before you dickheads get it wrong again. Okay? Then you have where my grandfather grew up. So my grandfather, Reg, he was always saying, he's third generation male, born and raised in Balmain, which he is. I can't remember, I think it was Charles Purdy or George Purdy, his grandfather. It's one of them, because it's Keith Charles Purdy and Reginald George Purdy, and one of them's the one middle name's the grandfather, one middle name's the great grandfather. Anyway, my grandfather, mum's father, is Reginald George Purdy, born and raised in Balmain. His father is Keith Charles Purdy, born and raised in Balmain. His mother is Lillian Steele. Pop told me that Lillian's family is from Paddington, although he said, always used to say, but when you and Amanda were born and you were transferred to the Children's Hospital, so let's call it, in Camperdown, his mum was living in Newtown. So, because I said, where's your mum? Like with Pop, because I knew my Nan's mother growing up. I didn't know my Pop's mother. He said, no, Lillian's from Paddington. Her family's from there, but, when his mother married his father, that she moved to Balmain, but he remembered all his family in Paddington from his mother's side. However, when you and Amanda were born, Pop said, and you was transferred to the Camperdown Hospital, Mum, meaning Lillian, Pop's mum, was living in Newtown. And that's why Pop also played for the Newtown Jets or something as well. He's got a Newtown jacket so he played for them, he played for Balmain. So there's that part of the family. Okay? I know stupid people keep getting this wrong and they keep making up stories, but I'm telling you the truth. So you can start fucking listening, idiots. So that's where Pop's from, although I think his dad also lived in Drummoyne at one stage. But I know he was, there's documents to do with that side of his father, his Keith side. Pop's brother, his older brother Raymond, ended up dying in Main Street, King's Cross, when he was 41. That's where he was living. Pop said, he was involved with the cross. So Pop's brother was involved with the cross, and that makes sense because so was Pop's nephew, his brother's son, which is Gary Purdy, was involved with King's Cross. So Raymond Purdy and Gary Purdy. And Raymond Jr., Pop's other nephew, Pop adopted off his brother. So Raymond Sr., Pop's brother, his son Raymond Jr., Pop adopted and raised him. There's that. Okay. Pop said to me when they moved, so Pop moved to Medowie for a year. Nan and Pop said they moved there. That was Raymond, Pop's brother's house that he owned in Medowie. It was sitting there, and they lived there for a year to save money so they could have more money for the deposit for the house that they were moving into in Blacktown, which is where they moved. She said it was a new house, a new subdivision is what Nan said. They moved there in 1962. They were the second owners of a new home. Okay? That's why they moved, to have land around them. And, well, that's what Nan wanted. Pop said he never wanted to leave the city. But anyway, they did. And Nan said, no, this is what they used to always say. And it's like, no, rubbish, I wasn't going to raise a family in a terraced house. It's because my Nan was raised in a terrace house and she wanted to have more around her. So in 1962, they moved there to Kerry Road. Now, the house was only a year old when Nan and Pop brought it, okay, in Kerry Road. So that's why I ended up being born in the suburbs, not the city, I guess. But because my mum was born in the city. My mum was born in Darlinghurst, St Margaret's Hospital, and started her life in Rozelle. Pop's from Mansfield, 90 Mansfield Street, Rozelle. Yeah. So there's mum's side there. And then I can brush on dad's side, like I said. My grandfather, Stanley Flemings from Botany Bay. My grandmother, Ruby Jean Hill. Okay, she's from Abbotsford, Drummoyne area. There you go. Okay, and, well, want to go deep into other family members? Well, Ruby Jean Hill's father, which is Frank Edward Hill, even though he's born in Dunedin from parents from London and Southampton, they then moved on to Woollahra, which is why he ended up getting married in Woollahra. And his wife, Ada Gray, is from Abbotsford, but married in Woollahra and then moved to Abbotsford, so which is where she was from. And then my nan was raised in the Drummoyne Abbotsford area. Yeah. Okay. So we're starting to establish that now, that when they're not from the country, they do own horses. And like you can see here in this area photo of where I grew up, we were landowners in Sydney. But then let me also add here, all of my family, including my grandparents when they were growing up, spent holidays on holiday houses because the Central Coast was not a suburb to live in once. It was all holiday houses. So there's an area of Ettalong Beach where my grandparents, both sets, or my grandparents, grew up there, having holidays at Ettalong Beach. They then raised their family growing up there at Ettalong Beach. There's photos of my father and his younger sister, Linda, as a baby at Ettalong Beach. In the exact same spot, there is photos of myself and my twin sister having our holidays at the holiday house at Ettalong Beach. My dad's parents, Ruby and Stanley Fleming, in the early 80s, retired to that area that they had grown up and spent so many summers holidaying, where they had raised their family, spent so many summers holidaying. They decided to retire to that area of Ettalong Beach. All right. There is a good indication of my life, and still it does not involve any country area. Like I keep saying, the first time we'd ever heard of Tamworth was in 1989. So don't make up these stories, because that was the week of my 10th birthday. I wasn't younger than 10. People from that area kept making up other weird stories and tried to make me out to be younger than we were. It's like, no, I was still living in Sydney. And then you've got people focusing on, oh, well, he was 10 when they moved. It's like, okay, I was 10 when my mother moved. Let's stick to facts, okay? Because I had my own bedroom at my father's house, my bedroom at my mother's house, and we spent most of our time growing up at my grandparents' house. Now, my mother did move in April 1989. Yes, that's correct. But she moved to an area where she knew nobody. So our entire social life and leisure time was spent back home in Sydney. Every second weekend back home in Sydney, every single holiday except for October was spent back home in Sydney. I used to, as a teenager, work for John Smales, a friend of my Pop's, in Blacktown at Family Boats. That was also called PJ Boats. So my life didn't leave Sydney. I then moved back home to Sydney permanently. Okay, I'm going to give you a list of several times I moved back home to Sydney, but permanently in 1995. Even though I did travel around elsewhere, or even though I did pass through Tamworth twice after that, once in October 1996 to April, around just after April 1997, and in 1999. These were just, I'm just staying briefly because there's this function or this event, or I'm doing this at the moment in this area. I'm not living here. Okay, there. Now, again, April 1989 until 1995 is the actual fact. Like I keep saying, I barely lived in that area my mother lives in for 6 years after she moved. I barely lived there for 6 years. Barely lived there for 6 years. Now, again, I've made it very clear, growing up, I spent a lot of time at Nan's house, and we'll stick to calling it Nan's house because that's what it is, 43 Piper Street, Leichhardt, right up until Nan sold that in 1999. Okay, as well, we've spent a lot of time at the beach growing up and in the city. My mother was a paralegal and worked in the city. And then when I was studying at Newcastle Fine Arts at the TAFE College there in 1996, okay, and then I moved to Dad's in December 1995 and was living at Empire Bay at my dad's house, Mark Ian Fleming's house, and travelling into the city for 2 days a week and into Newcastle for the rest. Okay, then I was spending a lot of time in the city, especially at the art gallery and around Woolloomooloo, which is why I know a lot about Woolloomooloo as well, not just from going there with my family, but going there independently by myself, which is what I did at the age of 16. Independently by myself going into Woolloomooloo, which is why I know that Harry's the Wheels, and I could be wrong, but I'm pretty sure it was a shitty caravan on the opposite side of the road in 1996, the opposite side of the road. I'm almost certain it was I don't remember it being on the side of where the water is, because that was disgusting, that side. That was disgusting. Where the W Hotel is, where the wharf is, that was all going to be demolished. I remember that being derelict. I remember it being disgusting area. I remember that having spray painted sign on it saying for lease or for sale or something. I remember it being going to be demolished and not being used as anything. And I'm almost certain the pie caravan was on the opposite side of the road. Now, I know this from being there and hanging around there in 1996, okay, from walking from Lady Macquarie's chair from the art gallery down there. Now, if people want to be a smartass and deny me the truth, I strongly suggest you don't, considering that every statement I make, I can back it up with photos, documents. So the statements I make, I can give you a document proof on it. Yeah. Okay. And again, this is how I grew up. Not how people imagined, and definitely not how that deadbeat Stephanie DeSalis, who stalked me, imagines. Okay? I'll repeat again about Stephanie DeSalis, okay, and make it perfectly clear for people. I was getting a coffee in late 2004. The guy I was getting a coffee with, I had only just met. He wasn't really my type, so I didn't continue the date after that. Stephanie DeSalis walked in. He obviously knew her and introduced me to this person, Stephanie, okay, late 2004. This person took an interest to my life, so much so, she kept showing up everywhere I would be, like my boyfriend's restaurant in Mossman, okay? And she did. He went off his head, John Cabino, about it. And I was like, oh, relax, she's a crazy fag hag, because I just thought she's harmless. She's a bit weird. Crazy fag hag. Didn't really think anything of it, except he said, no, she's not, Justin. You can't see her for what she is, but he could. He said, you don't know her. She's stalking you. She's stalking you with delusional fantasies, what she's telling people about you. Okay, you've only just met her. And this was the truth. By July 2005, I avoided her like the plague, to have only caught up a couple of days in 2006 where I realised, yes, John Cabino was right about her. I've got to take my kind goggles off, being kind to everybody, kind and forgiving, and stop and look at people for who they are, and thought she's a fucking nut job with delusional fantasies, running around telling people she knows me when I've only just met her. Yeah. Okay. In 2006, she was told if she ever shows her face again, we'll call the police on her for stalking and harassment. Had nothing, so there's 2006. Then she pops up again in late 2015 with the same type of bullshit behaviour again. 9 years later. There you go. So no, I'm not going to back down with this trouble caused in my life in the last 9 years. Since 2015. Every statement I've made is the truth, and things that I've even said, for an example, right here. Here's the property I grew up on, which is in the suburbs of Sydney, 10 minutes from Parramatta, walking distance to coffee shops. I went to St Aidan's Roman Catholic School in Rooty Hill. At the time, I had a good group of friends, and we used to hang out down the road from here at the cafe. Here's the long driveway to the house I lived in. This is our long driveway in Dunsmore Street. And as I said, if you make a right there, it's a utility entrance, and that was twisted into being something sinister that's not. There's the main house. You can see it was a beautiful house built on the slope. It was actually up 1 story off the ground. So when you actually drove up to the house itself, it looked grander than what it is, because it actually was a story off the ground. We didn't use underneath it, but when my dad was with my mum, he always said that he was going to build a basement underneath it, like another floor, because you could do that. But you had to, so here, over here, was stairs actually going up to the house. Let me find another photo to show you. Oh, just while I'm looking for another photo of the house to show you, just want to make it clear as well. Like I said, my dad's parents ended up moving to the area where we've always spent summers, holidays and so forth. So in the early 80s. So here's my grandmother Ruby down the road from my nana's house at the beach, at Ettalong Beach. So, like a 30-second walk to the beach type thing. Yeah, my nana Ruby right there at the beach. That's Anderson's boat shed behind her. Oh, and why I've got everyone else's attention too. So I am raised Roman Catholic, and if you are raised Roman Catholic with the Roman Catholic Bible, so that's not, again, I'll repeat myself because I had to try and explain this several times to Giovanni Consalvo or Jonathan Craig or whatever he goes by. His mother's name is Dawn Carpenter. She is a convict Scottish, and he is not Roman Catholic. His family are born-again Christian, Jehovah's Witness, and Latter-day Saints Mormon. That's Mormon, not Muslim, for those who can't understand the difference. So Giovanni, or Gio, or whatever he wants to be called, Jonathan, he is not Roman Catholic. I am Roman Catholic. So he doesn't understand the religion, and he thought Roman Catholic was sent the King James Bible, and I kept saying, no. He goes, well, don't you go by King James? It's like, no, that is Protestant, Church of England. That's those other weird religions that go by King James. We don't. We go by the New Testament, the Old Testament, the Bible that's been around for 2,000 years is what we go. And that is why you know other languages if you're Roman Catholic, or you should know parts of other languages, because our Bible is translated, and you learn this when you go through, well, I did, starting Roman Catholic school in 1984, St Aidan's. Here's my badge from St Aidan's that you see on the screen there. Languages like Hebrew, Aramaic, so Hebrew where it's Baruch atah Adonai, Aramaic and Greek and so forth. So if you do your studies with Roman Catholic religion, you would know this. And in the 80s, Latin was still taught, and that right there is the school motto, the way it was in the 80s for the primary school I went to, Omnia Pro Dios. That is there. So you do learn Latin. And this is ridiculous to how I've been harassed by people that have different upbringings to myself and have taken my life and my upbringing and turned it to be sinister and twisted around to blow it out of proportion like they have done since 2015. But there's the facts right there. So I suggest people stop. Oh, and I was talking about my nana's house when they retired to the Central Coast. This is my nan's house that they retired to on the Central Coast. Although it wasn't that colour, my Auntie Linda liked that colour and she painted it. So this is the house on the Central Coast that where my grandparents, Nan and Pop, Stanley and Ruby Fleming, retired. And it's walking distance to the beach, as you can see here. And as you can see here. And again, if you actually had a look at that photo previously with my nan down at the beach, yeah, like I keep saying, the same spot, that is my twin sister Amanda, myself. I'm not going to explain my hair again. When I was a baby, it was like that. It is naturally dark brown, near black. I lost my toddler hair, and it's always been, it would be a bit crazy to have baby hair when you're no longer a baby. Okay, I'm just going to point that out to people. But however, that's Amanda and myself down in front of the holiday house at Anderson's boat shed down the road there from Ettalong, and the Ettalong Wharf there, Ettalong Beach. Yep, growing up spending holidays at the beach. Oh, and because people don't listen, again, this is my Nana Lola across the road from 43 Piper Street, Leichhardt. Okay, the viaducts across the road. Yeah, start listening, losers. And here you're going to see Norma Keegan. This is across the road from Piper Street, Leichhardt in the park. There's my Nan Lola. There's my big Nan Mary holding my mother Carol. Again, start listening to me, losers. I'm telling you the truth. This is the living room of my Nan and Pop's place in Kerry Road in Blacktown. That's my big Nan next to my mother there, getting ready for her wedding day. That's Mary and my mother. And there they are again in Kerry Road. In the front, you're going to see Marianne Mahowski. Marianne Purdy, my mum's younger sister. My mother's other sister, Robin Childs. Well, she married a child, so Robin Purdy. Reginald George Purdy. My mother, Carol Ann Purdy. But this is the day she was marrying a Fleming, so she became a Fleming. Carol Fleming here. And there you're going to see Linda. This is Dad's youngest sister, Aunt Linda. Okay, Linda Fleming. I don't know who that is at the end, so not important. But that is Linda, Carol, Reg. So Linda Fleming, Carol Purdy, Reg Purdy, Robin Purdy, Marianne Purdy. Marianne married a Mahowski, so she's Marianne Mahowski. Robin Childs, again, Reginald George Purdy, Carol Fleming. Simply, this was the day that she married a Fleming. And I always talk about my mother's hats. She wore a lot of mafia hats. Growing up in the 80s, this is one of the mafia hats she wore. As you can see here, it's my mother. Was very stylish for the 80s with her mafia hat. Oh no, that is not her natural hair colour. That's bottled red. Her natural hair colour is dark brown. Have to get the original ones, but again, yes. Okay, here we are. St. Aidan's. All right. I did go to St. Aidan's, Rooty Hill, right up until April, so the week of my 10th birthday. That's me. And there's the other, so with the other attire there, we were wearing our white shirts. Okay, yeah, right. You can see I'm really sick of you dickheads of people. Oh, and just there's me from my high school photos as well. Look, there's me before I had my mole removed. Oh yeah, by the way, yeah, my hair has always been dark brown, never black. You can see that as a child. I guess people are just so useless that they want to make up stories. And their stories are defaming towards my character. I would stop, considering I can back myself up with everything I say. That's me at Lady Rosebery College. Oh, that's me hair modelling. I did all types of modelling, whether it was fashion modelling, hair modelling. I always had long hair, by the way. Anyone that cares to stop making bullshit stories up about me. Again, I would tie my long hair back like you can see in this photo here where I'm doing rehearsals. Oh, that's Nick Simpson Deeks just there. Excuse me, I've got the flu. There's me. Hair's tied back much like you see me doing it today, tied back. And that's Sally, our dance instructor in 1995. Yeah. Sally, our dance instructor, Nick Simpson Deeks, and myself. 1996, myself fashion modelling. That shirt's Dolce & Gabbana. The youngest surviving twins, the premature babies to ever survive in 1979. My twin sister Amanda and myself. 1997, as you can see, always long hair, and it is always frizzy. Frizzy and wavy, yeah. I've always plastered it down, brushed it back. Look at that. Yeah. Plenty of proof I would stop lying about me, people. You see, you're going to find that I can back up every single statement I've made and can back up that every bullshit lie that's been said about me in the last 9 years since 2015, I'm going to make sure as hell I come after people, even those ones that made up these stories about looking into the assets and belongings and clothing and what I had. It's like, and I've always had it. You can see that I've had majority of this before November 30th, 2007. It's there in all the photos. And there's the what I was looking for as well here. So the main entrance. So where I was trying to say it was a Juliet style balcony to the house. There you are. Side entrance I've written here to stable. So I called it the side entrance, but it's what you'll call is a utility entrance, because what is it used for? Utility. There you go. You see? So I think people can stop slandering me because I've come back to Australia to take this further criminally. San Francisco, February 2001. There I am. You can always pick me out. That's Amanda and myself at the Fairmont Hotel in San Francisco in 2001. Now, are they my Dolce & Gabbana pants? I know that shirt looks like my Armani shirt. San Francisco. That's me in San Francisco in 2001. Oh, I love this jacket here. You see this white Cavalli jacket? It was brought up in the last 9 years, and I can't work out why. Considering I had it back in my 20s. A very expensive Cavalli jacket. My Dolce & Gabbana pants and my Versace shirt that I'm wearing here in this photo in April 2008 in the courtyard there of my place in Surrey Hills. That's my Nana Lola. That's myself there. Yeah, like I said, I can back up everything I'm saying is the truth, so why don't you people stop gaslighting me? It's getting pathetic. Oh, and I always say, yeah, champagne, orange juice brunch we're having there, my water features and garden. I had a stunning garden. I did it all myself. Again, it's my cousin Brooks, but 40th birthday on the Central Coast. That's me. There as well. So, I don't know if that recorded the last one or not, but here again, my Versace shirt. This ring here was brought up. This big chunky gold ring that I'm wearing here in April 2008. That's me in April 2008. And for some strange reason, and it's like, yes, because I've already had that ring in the past for a very long time, since my 20s. And my mother put lapis lazuli stone in it for me. She actually got her cousin's husband's cousin, who's a designer, Denny Designer Jewelers. He's a jewelry designer, to find a stone and put this stone in it for me. There I am. Great figure. Always had a very good figure. Very toned waist. Was always toned and fit. Until recently, and that's got to do with all this trouble caused in my life since 2015 that I don't accept, and I'm sick of it. So again, there's no one in Australia I want to socialise with or have in my life, and I won't. I came back to Australia to take matters further legally as a criminal matter, because I keep getting what's called gaslighting. I'm showing you evidence that I'm getting lied about in the last 9 years since 2015, because there I am there in April 2008 with my long, beautiful, wavy hair, I'm wearing my, I think it's my Dolce & Gabbana grey pants there and my black Versace shirt, and I'm going to the theatre, and I was going to the theatre with my nan, and here's my jewellery and how I look, and I was always toned and thin and fit. And then suddenly I start getting standard and lied about a lot in the last 9 years. And that's something else as well. I've always driven sports cars. So since I was 21 years of age, my pop said, like, I was actually looking for sports cars when I was 16, 17, and my mum went off her head about the premiums. And pop said, no, you're not getting a sports car till you're 21 when the premiums will drop. So I had a muscle car until I was 21. So yeah, when I was 21, and then I got the sports cars. And that was basically only because Pop said, your insurance would be too high and everything when you're under 21. Wait till you're 21, they get a sports car. Pop always had sports cars, he said. So yeah, there's a couple of mine. And myself riding my horse that was more expensive than my BMW. That's my horse I'm riding at Sydney Royal Show. Okay, in competition. I rode at Royals and I rode at Nationals. And that thoroughbred hack there that I'm on, whose name was over Makar High Flyer, I think his name was, or Flying High. That horse, his stable name was Sam. His show name's Makar. I think it was Flying High or High Flyer. He's worth more money, was what was worth more money than my BMW. And there I am on another horse there, as you can see. And again here myself at Olympic Park at the Royals here at Olympic Park at Sydney Royal, competing in competition on horses worth more than my BMW. And I might finish this off to me here wearing my, it was called Design a Wearable Object. The course touched on fashion design, costume design. So this is what my design is, what I'm wearing right here in 2009 at Enmore Design Centre, TAFE College, Certificate 4 in Design Events Illustration. I had to go right through patterning. I can't sew, but this is my design. I designed and got a pass and credit for. And there we go again, myself in 2009 wearing my Design a Wearable Object that I designed. I designed this outfit here that I'm wearing. There I am. I received a pass and I received a credit for my pass in this. So yeah, as this stands, I'm not a good tailor, but design, and it was a design course, and even my teacher Julia and Rob said so. I had to go right through to patterning, and then I could subcontract out to a tailor to make the design off my pattern. But I had to do all the designs and the patterns and so forth, and just get someone to stitch it for me. Fair enough. It was a design course that I passed and got credit for. I'll leave it at that, because I'm really going to make it clear to people that I don't like being slandered, defamed, have my credibility destroyed, lied about, all based on somebody else's own opinion, not facts. Good luck with that, because you've come up against somebody that, fights back.